You don't have to wait. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at where the veto is going to take us. Consulate, Coastline, Border, Bank, Villa, and Clubhouse are off, leaving us with Kafe.
Interesting.
There we go. I nearly went the other way with that one. But got there in the end. So, how are we feeling on Kafe of all maps?
It's interesting it's got to here. I mean, FNATIC double banned it last week.
Yep.
So they were not intent on playing it last week at all. Previously, they've done not too bad on Kafe. Likewise with Sinister, Kafe can sometimes favor a little bit of randomness.
Yep.
But like we said earlier, it's traditionally a little bit one-sided. So I think Sinister will probably be starting defense, actually, seeing as FNATIC had the final veto.
Yep. So defensive side.
Yeah, and look, Sinister, they lost it last week against the Nixian. Very close, though. They played quite well on it, so could show up against FNATIC.
I got a question for you. You said Bank might show up.
Yeah.
FNATIC banned Bank, a second ban.
Yep.
Do you think that this is from last week's misstep? Do you think that this has haunted them through to the second play? Well, technically their second play day.
Yep. I mean, potentially, yeah. I think maybe they identified some of their weaknesses on Bank and just thought not worth the risk against Sinister.
Yep.
Sinister not a bad Bank team from what I've seen. Also, FNATIC, a little bit historically not that great on Bank. They went through a real patch last season and start of last season, or like pre-last season, where they really had some struggle matches on Bank, and they started just vetoing it. So it was a bit brave of them, I guess, to play it last week, and maybe they've just decided, you know what, let's just put it back on the shelf, work on it a bit longer.
Put it on the back burner, hey?
Yeah.
Well, new squad, new you might be able to make something work. Let's have a look what you at home thought. We're going to see an 86%. Look, a 1% increase for the win of Sinister and a 3% increase of the draw.
Yep.
Not too bad. I went on and voted for Sinister just to give him a little bit more of a heads up. So maybe
Good Samaritan.
Maybe I gave him. I'm a good Samaritan at that point. Maybe I gave him a percent. Maybe I was the 1%er that counts. You know, we talk about that a lot. Maybe not in. Actually, I feel like we should be talking about that in esport. It's a sport term that is used widely. The 1%ers, right? It's the small things that count. And bringing that into a game like Rainbow Six, where there are like 0.01%ers, right? There are tiny things that you can miss that play a huge part in a round.
Absolutely. You want to talk about the 1%ers? I mean, there's a lot of 1%ers that worked in FNATIC's favor in that final clutch that Mentalist had. Just those really, really minor details, minor mistakes from those Sinister players in that clutch situation that kind of cost them that round and cost them the map. But they've got another chance here on Kafe. We are going straight into it with the vetoes here, and this could really change the way it plays out. There's some really strong operator bans that you can pull out.
What are you expecting to see?
Probably another Thatcher ban.
Yep.
I really am not going to be surprised if there's another Thatcher ban. Maybe a hard breacher on attack. Defense, I think it's not going to be any different between the classic Maestro, Mirror, Echo trio.
Well, what are we going to see? There we go. Hibana banned out.
Yep.
We saw that in the previous match as well on Kafe with Wildcard and Kanga. Will we see the Thatcher ban come through for FNATIC, taking their sweet time in deciding as well?
Yeah, maybe not as well, because FNATIC are starting attack. So they've now got the power to make it a little bit easier for themselves by not banning Thatcher.
Well,
but no.
There we go. Default straight back into the Thatcher and support yourself. Help you, help them. I guess if you are looking at it, you're probably playing for the long haul here and attempting to get to that second half and really demolish that defensive side. Mirror will be banned out. And are we going to see the Mirror Echo combo, or are we going to see a bit of spice in our life?
Is up to Sinister as well. They are starting defense, so maybe they might pull out something a bit edgy here to help themselves secure a pretty strong defense half. Might be the case. Oh, the Kaid. That's the Thatcher situation there. Interesting, because they are starting defense. So they could have really abused that if they wanted to, but deciding not to. And FNATIC, yeah, they're going to have to be just looking to stay in touch in the first half. Traditionally, that's how it works.
Yep.
Sinister going to have to come out strong. They're going to want to get some momentum as well, because this is the other thing, is like you can say a map is defender-sided, sure. But either way, you win 5 rounds in a row. That's momentum, man. Yeah. Like, it doesn't matter what side you're on.
No, that's very true. That is very, very true. And the fact of the matter is we see that all the time, right? Teams, and rightfully so, when you start to get on a bit of a move, it can really increase that potential to just snowball, right? And just completely roll down the hill at a million miles an hour and end up being the size of bloody New York City anyway. Moving forward here, let us have a look at where we're headed. On toward the top floor, cocktail bar, and see how they decide to hold this. I feel like there's not too many crazy integrations of the hold on the top floor. I feel like it's nothing that's like, oh wow. Maybe with Nico, who knows?
Yeah, I have no doubt that Nico has some interesting angles on Kafe. One big trap that is going to be setting up here in general is Sinister have 2 C4s in their pockets. Seeing as the Habana was banned out, that now means that you have to get up close and personal with a wall to open it. So you're a bit vulnerable for C4s, and that's something that Kafe is pretty great for, is you can C4 a lot of spots on that floor. So Thermite definitely going to be at some risks when they try and open things.
Oh, wow.
Capitalize on that.
How good was that from Lusty? Just expected Valkyrie to try and make a move there. Watched where the cam came from. And see you later. That's a bit of unfortunate start for Sinister, but now they're going to have to move on from this. Virtue thinks he might have spotted another one. However, they are going to open up the direct line. Oh my god, Magnet, what is that?
Oh my god. That was a great line of sight from Magnet. Great timing. Was a drone down or not. Either way, that's a big opening pick, because that is one of those C4s that I spoke about now being off the board. And also, if the Mozzie catches a drone mid-round, it's not going to be moved. So, great start from FNATIC now. Sinister on the back foot already.
Oh, I really enjoyed that. That was a bit of cheek. That was a bit of cheek. Now, it is an incredible start where they can really start to dictate the pace here. Sinister going to adapt to this. How are they going to slow this down and put the pressure back on the FNATIC? Are they going to get aggressive? Are they just going to turtle? Maybe even play for a retake at a certain point. Wait and see. As now FNATIC can approach with still a full minute 30 left. They can have piano control pretty quickly as Tex has already taken Cigar.
Very much so, but they have given up the control they did take below. Not sure if Sinister is playing an operator still below there. It is actually Milo, but he doesn't have the C4, so no real danger there for the wall opening. Rusty there on the Thermite. And FNATIC now just going to take a little bit of time just to secure themselves. They've got pretty important foothold in piano. Very critical part to attacking this top floor. Vinny just getting a bit intel there on that evil line. Thinking about engaging, taking some shots, but not hitting anything. Milo will hit Magnet, though. That evens out the man count. And just under a minute to play out.
He might be given a second here if that player actually inches a little bit closer instead. Deciding to back away from the hatch. Milo can still hold down that long line with the ACOG. The bullet hose, as Monkey likes to put it for me. Do enjoy the... Oh, okay. Tex just firing some warning shots across toward Vinny. Mentalist was in a nice position. Virtue actually manages to capitalize on a kill. Now Milo's going to try and pick up the pace to come behind them, but Virtue's been able to take down Fisher Guy. 20 seconds left. Sinister, they're actually not in the worst position. Milo has been spotted, and he'll be forced to back away.
Yeah, I think they're very much aware that Luna is the only one actually on site. They're pushing deep here. Lusty pushing through with the fuser. Could have been bad. Luna just peeks away. No awareness at all that they were actually in bar. Milo is below. Thinking about denying. They're not sure where the plant is as Lusty does secure it. So now post-plant for FNATIC. 2 versus 1. Milo, the only player up for Sinister. And Tex is on around 50 HP. Not going to be easy for him at all, that's for sure.
Doable or not? I feel like not. Especially with how much time has now been drawn. It is already halfway through on that diffuser. Still yet to even find his way to the 3rd floor. By the time he gets there, there will be little to 5 seconds left on that diffuser to make it work. Just trying to pre-fire everything possible. It's coming down to it. Nasty waits and FNATIC execute perfectly. Round number 1. Taken into the hands of the attacking side, and there is no doubt about it. That was flawlessly done from FNATIC.
Yeah, really, really well read by them when they realized that Luna was the only one there pushing deep to secure that frag, and that crossfire in that post-plant situation was perfect. There's no way that Milo was getting through that double door without being at least refragged, so nicely played from FNATIC getting that first round. Not too shabby from Sinister, but not not quite good enough, and they're going to actually rotate off that bomb site. They're going to go to reading.
Yep. Sinister, for the most part on club as well, weren't too happy with sticking around for longer than the one round. Whether they win or lose, they try to move on, try to forget about whatever has just happened in that previous round. FNATIC are going to stick with that IQ. Obviously a fair bit of information you can gather through the electronic devices. And plenty of them there will be. Mute, the Mozzie, and the Jaeger on the side of Sinister. No Valk this time, though.
Alright, not going for that extra intel, but going for the extra denial with Luna on the castle. Is a different site, though, in reading, and they look like they are going to do the classic double down and cocktail. Very, very important part to hold on Kafe when you're defending reading. So delaying time as much as possible. Saw a very similar setup here from SSG, actually, this week with NA. In their game against Rec, using the castle to comfortably hold cocktail and delay that push. Sinister maybe taking some inspiration from that. A little bit of a common strat, but we'll see their adaptation. They're definitely dedicating a lot to it, that's for sure.
Well, Nico's finding some cheeky spots, as is the way, what we have come to expect. Mentalist on the back of Tex's shoulder. They'll start to get nice and early info. 2 minutes down. Rather, not even. It's 30 seconds down, and FNATIC have made a fair bit of leeway. The IQ obviously already detecting anything that was on that second floor across toward mining, and to be fair, there was nothing really there.
Bomb located by attackers.
And not a whole lot on entry so far. No engagements, but FNATIC have started to take some map control here. Mentalist is in the mining room. They're droning him through train, trying to get a bit more map control, as Virtue will take the opening pick onto Nico. Actually trying to do a run out, it looks like. But not to be. Virtue securing that, and look, Sinister, they haven't had much luck with these opening engagements, and maybe that's what was the big issue in that first round, is just not having that extra person towards the end.
Yep.
Just gave them that big enough gap for FNATIC to abuse.
And abuse it, you can bet your bottom dollar they will. They'll be wasting too much time. Obviously, the barricade will be dealt with swiftly by Virtue if he decides to go in that avenue, which he already has. Here comes the frag grenade. That'll flush out any remaining members from Sinister. They are still holding on to the position, however. They're not completely backing away. Decision's going to have to be made quite soon. That is a lot of smokes going out between smoke babes and just regular smoke grenades.
Yeah, they are definitely hard hold committing to this cocktail, and really they do need to hold it for a lot longer. Magnet will get taken out by Fisho from below. Nice angle from him. Those smokes actually working against FNATIC. Luna has been taken out as Mentalist finds another, so Sinister all of a sudden are left with 2 members up. There's Vinny and Milo. 45 seconds remaining as it looks like FNATIC are really pushing straight towards reading now. They know they've got that control. They're ready to start opening that wall in the Pillars hallway and get ready for this execute.
Rotating around, making themselves at home. Sinister are going to have quite the trouble denying this, or even retaking it if that's what comes to it, which is exactly what's going to happen. Milo not even close to denying it. And it is just going to be slow and methodical. Unless they can find an early pick. Vinny did not see that player coming around the backside of mining. That will be taken down. Milo remains. Does find the trade. How much more can he realistically get in this position? He would have to go absolutely mental here. Unable to do so, as it's Mentalist to close him out.
Sinister just not securing that retake and not really in good positions in the end once their site players are fragged out. Definitely a much stronger round from FNATIC on that attack. Really just pushing, taking the control they wanted. And then once they realized that they had sight, they just went straight for that plant. So really well played from them. Again, Sinister will continue to rotate. They will move down to the kitchen bomb site now and try their luck there.
Again, just continue to move. And I guess that is, you know, it's a double-edged sword, right? You're confident in your ability to just move around and at the same time as you don't really want to reattempt and give FNATIC the opportunity to just, I mean, at that point you wouldn't really need to adjust too much on the same site. All depends on how you decide to play it, unless you have multiple ideas on how you want to approach that defensive side. For now, FNATIC are off to a flying start. 2 rounds on the attacking side and counting. Sinister have to be a little bit worried here.
Yeah, FNATIC are also traditionally, usually, a bit better on the second map, a bit stronger. It's like they take most of a first map to warm up or something, and so far they're looking pretty good on Kafe. You talk about rotating between or around sites being a bit of a double-edged sword. Another side of that is that if you go through all 3 of your preferred bomb sites and lose all 3, that's a little bit demoralizing as well. It's like, wow, the 3 bomb sites we've prepped, we lost first go each time. What do we do now? You have to go back and retry another one. And if you're rotating because you're unsure what went wrong, it's a really tough position to be in. So hopefully Sinister can figure something out, whether it's this side or whether they have to reattempt the other bomb sites. See how this round pans out here. And FNATIC put Magnet onto the Ash this time. They're all having a go at Ash tonight.
You have an Ash, I have an Ash, we all have an Ash. That's all right. I feel like that is the versatility of FNATIC and the players that they have on that roster. You can freely choose to do so, especially when you're up against a team that, by all means, is a lesser tiered team. FNATIC are just on another level. Sinister know it as well. So this is always going to be a tricky match for them.
Absolutely. I was talking to Vinny earlier in the week as well, and he said that actually they'd been preparing a lot with FNATIC in the off-season, so they felt quite confident coming into this that they knew enough about FNATIC to work out some counters and work around their playstyle. And look, we did see a bit of that on Club, but so far they've really struggled on Kafe. They are only 2 rounds deep, but I think I'd have to see a lot more out of Sinister if they want to salvage this map.
Again, it's always not so much the rounds that are getting away from them, it's rather how they are escaping the grasp that is the talking point at the moment. Vinny, hang on that Maestro outside just in the cupcake. I don't know whether Dev ever renamed it. He was just always so confident about that being Cupcake Stall.
Yeah, that's what I've called it too. And Virtue, wow. Opening frag grenade onto Luna. FNATIC continuing. Bit of dominance now, you could almost call it on this map.
It is definitely a dominant performance. There is no 2 ways about it, Raven. And whether Virtue is going to find another line there or not is still yet to be seen. Nico does, however, get a response and make that 2. Mentalist falls. And maybe a 3rd as well. Lord. Lusty out in the open. Tex is still trying to figure out which way he realistically wants to approach this. He's got 2 players to worry about. Edging around the corner, finds Fisher Guy. Now might be able to trade out on a Nico, but is it too little too late?
Might just be, as Tex loses his face. 1 versus 3, all up to Virtue. He's on less than 25 HP as well, so essentially 1 shot, maybe 2 with a defender's gun, depending on what it is. But look, it's not out of the realm of doability. We talked about the ability of FNATIC players to clutch in these situations. Virtue is more than capable, but he's only got 20 seconds, Manic. Not very long at all. Diffuser next to those VIP dining stairs. So many angles to worry about. Virtue second-guessing himself and ticking away here. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to pull this off as he walks into a Grismot concussion mine. Time will tick away as Sinister will secure their first round for the map now. It's 2-1. Come back on.
I mean, after that, yeah. But again, for that round, Nico has to step up massively. So I think that that's a telling tale. That if one player needs to pull out a 3-piece for you to have a better chance, it's probably not the method in which you'd choose to go for.
Yeah.
But there is 2 ways of looking at it, right? That was a dominant round, and it takes 2 to tango. There's no way that just Nico can do that on his own without any support whatsoever. And you see it there exactly. So
yeah, to dismantle a good team, it takes teamwork. So Sinister definitely have to keep the teamwork up. They are going to reattempt reading.
Yep.
It's the bomb site they felt they could fix the easiest. Maybe not backing themselves on that top floor or just deciding they want to hold that in their pocket for a little bit later. see what changes they've made here on this site. Still doubling down in Cocktail. They haven't got the castle this time, which could have been a source of delay last time, so it's going to be interesting what they've decided to implement instead of the castle and how that's going to actually work towards the delay.
Well,
10 seconds
if
to
there's
go.
ever a chance, you're probably going to want to back it up on this one.
5 seconds left before insertion.
Cheeky little concussion mine from Ala there.
Yeah.
Attackers are moving out to locate a
And
bomb. Attackers have dropped
let's
the bomb.
see, FNATIC.
Attackers
They even got off to a good start in that previous one. It took the Titanic kind of performance from Nico to make that a possibility. So you would dare say if FNATIC are still feeling comfortable, which you know that they are, there's no, you would not even doubt it for a second. They'll be able to back this up pretty quickly.
They're going to do the classic top-down clear. Sinister did have, at one stage, 3 roamers on that top floor. Not sure if they've doubled down on that. 2 FNATIC players now moving down, though, so maybe they've decided not to hard push it just yet. Nico is around in train, now rotating over towards dining. So FNATIC can take mining if they wish. They are at that window as Milo takes some pot shots and rotates back down white towards Cocktail to meet up with Vinny, his teammate, as they burn the first minute off, as FNATIC is still trying to get a foothold of what's happening here and deciding exactly what they're going to do.
Vinny not shy in trying to hold. Luna's in a good position as well. Obviously got the vision directly through to dining with that. Just those goo mines that can be such a nuisance, such a pain in the backside, or rather in the foot, ankle, wherever they end up being lodged. And slowly but surely FNATIC taking control of that top floor. Their time management is impeccable when it comes down to these later parts of the round. Will it continue?
Those Mozzies continuing to be a bit of a trouble there for FNATIC. A couple of drones unable to advance, thanks to those pests being a bit of a pest, aptly named. Nico has rotated back to reading, trying to peek some of these angles.
A bomb has been located.
And look, FNATIC have now discovered the Bomber's virtues, peeking around into reading. He might take this little cheeky entry himself or just hold this angle. Might be able to get the first pick. Does hit a shot. No, actually misses that shot. Very much aware that he is in pillars now. And oh, cheeky rotate. Fisho did hit the floor in time, only taking a little bit of damage as Virtue also takes a little bit of damage. 30 seconds to go now. FNATIC have not made much progression. Magnet been taken low as well. This could be another good round for Sinister here. I say that as Milo is taken off the board, Manic. 25 seconds. Can FNATIC get another?
Well, Vinny is trying to have a say about this. Luna as well, still holding down that line into ward, dining from the staircase. Vinny taking down Magnet. He might even be able to shut down Virtue as he comes around the corner, ducking and weaving around those bullets. He remains to stay alive, but that diffuser out in the open, not a chance in hell for FNATIC. And Sinister back up a second round. That is 2 apiece now.
Yeah, a bit of momentum working towards Sinister. They can start working their way back through these bomb sites. Cocktail will be open for them now if they want to take it, which looks like they will. If they manage to secure this one, they could be looking at a 4-2 half, which would be pretty good. Pretty successful defense considering how those first 2 rounds were going for FNATIC. It was looking very much all FNATIC. Sinister have gone against the grain here. Hope they can make some adaptations now on this 3rd floor bomb site, as the first round wasn't too great.
Nope. It really wasn't. Or the point, and for argument's sake, say Sinister have been able to adapt. Let's say that FNATIC don't get that early kind of control. Let's hope that the kind of time management that was brought for FNATIC in that previous round continues to follow suit here and makes their life a little more difficult for Sinister's way. However, I would dare say that FNATIC won't make the same mistake twice.
Not likely there, and a change to Sinister for this bomb site is Luna on the Goyo. And the extra shields and a bit of extra time delay. See if it can come to some effect this time. Vinny reprising the Maestro. Worked pretty well in that last round. Vinny getting a couple of kills on the Maestro, really holding fast in Cocktail.
Attackers must locate and defuse the bomb.
Again, I'd expect Sinister. They got 2, potentially 3 C4s now with the Goyo. So I imagine they're going to try and play some players below. And again, maybe bait out that Thermite to actually walk into a bit of a C4 trap.
A bomb has been located.
Lusty again, you can see just holding that drone off from the actual housing itself. Instead, opting to make sure that there's nothing coming out of those windows, i.e. vault cams. Realistically, it's the only thing you've really got to worry about. Until it's going to get the early information, it's going to push the remainder of Sinister back. Nico, however, still happy with this line.
Oh, his foot was sticking out though, and Mentalist did get a couple of bullets into it, so he's very low on HP. That nade is going to finish him off. Really well done from FNATIC. Could have been a kill to Nico, but it was shut down. Sinister will go man disadvantage again in that first minute. Gonna have to claw back again. Very familiar position for them for most of these defenses.
I feel like Nico is definitely a double-edged sword to have as a player. Sometimes does some just nutty things and incredible openings, and other times just gets caught out trying to find a cheeky little opening. So they're definitely down the player now. Oh, Magnet, fortunate enough to be alive. Low on HP, but still can have quite the large impact here on the Buck. Benny sitting back from Cocktail. Like you said before, a very nice performance from him in that prior round. Holding down for your boys Sinister and Lass. Can't forget.
The Luna Lass.
That's it.
Fisher getting a little aggressive trying to peek that piano, but look, I feel like this is a pretty similar pattern, right? FNATIC have been pretty good on entry, and they've had quite a long period of stall for one way or another. They've spent the last minute or so not doing much, but Magnet finally gets the frag grenade onto Vinny. That's a strong frag. That's the Maestro off the board who comes in really helpful in that final, like, 30 seconds. Tex finds another, so all up to 2 left on Sinister. Milo and Luna. FNATIC are really swooping through bar now. Luna will catch one off guard. It's Mentalist on the white stairs, but Virtue gets another. It is all up to Luna with 30 seconds to go. Blind throwing a C4, not finding anything. FNATIC will get this plant down, and Luna is taken out. FNATIC get that round. 1 round to go for the half, and FNATIC are up 3-2.
The attacking side, they've got to be very happy with that. Sinister bit back. Are they going to be able to close it out and keep things even? They're definitely going to need to here. I can't see a world in which FNATIC finish the 4-2 half on their attacking side and don't close this out. I just don't foresee that being a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, traditionally that would be quite surprising, but they've looked pretty good on these attacks so far. They definitely struggled on the kitchen attack last time, mainly on the back of a really big individual effort of Nico, though. Yep. So if they can isolate that or shut that down a bit quicker, maybe this could play out differently. Speaking of differently, Mentalist is actually 6th pick to a Blackbeard. It's the first Blackbeard pick we've seen all night. Not really commonly picked anymore. So maybe they got something really in particular in mind, potentially to combat that Nico position. Straight up face checking it with the Blackbeard, perhaps.
Yeah. Baller. Baller. Alright. So, as we find ourselves at the end of the first half, the kitchen will be the place of choice, and like you said, don't need to reiterate, Nico. But whether they're going to have a lucky moment from an individual player or not, that is going to be yet to be seen. Luna thinks so. But these black eyes are going to be quite important, the early intel that they gather. However, Tex on that IQ has been extremely vigilant in detecting those electronics nice and early, so I dare say they will know well and truly before they get there.
Fnatic just quickly droning out that top floor just to make sure there's not a double floor room they have to clear out, and it doesn't appear like that's the case. They are going to start to surround downstairs. Garage reinforced off, so that's a massive line of sight that you can't utilize. And maybe an undervalued way of setting up this site is actually reinforcing that garage. It means if you want that line of sight down that white hallway to cut rotation, you'll actually have to use hard breach, which is quite valuable. Oh, Fisho going to get aggressive. Takes some shots at that door, but not actually connecting any onto the player. But it is going to slow them down, make them think twice about entering, and now they're going to have to re-drone it out, that kind of thing. C4 not hitting there. Seems to be a bit of a case with Sinister actually in his defenses. They've thrown a lot of C4s to no effect.
Yep. Lack of information, you think?
Yeah, they could be just winging it.
Yep, just Hail Marys.
Yeah.
Maybe going off like slight audio cues, maybe some intel they had earlier in the round.
Yep.
But I definitely agree with you. I feel like we've only seen maybe one. Well, okay. How? Well, doesn't matter how. Still alive and still makes it a 5v5, but that was way too close for comfort.
Yeah, Fisho very much trapped now. Mentalist just going to toss that stun. No one in coat check to crossfire, so Fisho is a sitting duck, basically. He is stuck in this corner. Nico, though, opens it again on this bomb site, taking out Magnet. Mentalist with a goo mine in his foot, not wanting to peek. Oh, Fisho almost takes him out, takes down the shields. He's so low, finally downed. Luna will finish him off. Looking good for Sinister again here. They've opened it pretty strongly. They've got a minute to go. A lot of them tagged to half HP, but strong man advantage.
Yeah, that VIP hold is turning out to be more frustrating than what it's worth for FNATIC. That's twice now they've had their attention diverted in two separate rounds onto Fisho Guy, and Tex is still so unsure on what to do here, on how to approach this. Luna's been able to double up, so the support's going to be there. Tex takes down Milo in the meantime. Fisho Guy is getting a little bit antsy, expecting Tex to start to push in a little bit further now. There's been no movement so far from FNATIC, but 20 seconds left. They have to make a choice here, and they're going to go into the site. Fisho Guy's there.
Virtue does refrag that though, so it's 3 versus 2 as he's taken out by Vin. All up to Lusty. He's actually outside the building. He's just re-entered, doesn't see the one behind the counter, and that is Sinister closing out the half. 3-3 at the end of the day, Manic, which it's not fantastic, but at least it's 3-3. It could have been a lot worse for them after those first couple of rounds.
It looked like it was going to be one of those 5-1 kind of halves, with FNATIC starting to really run away with it. They were looking so confident and so sharp. Good to see Sinister bouncing back, and now they've put themselves in an okay position. Obviously, we do talk about Kafe being defend-decided, but I would have to say toward the end of that half that Sinister were looking the better.
Yeah, and now we're going to have to see what they're like on attack, and I feel like that is a really telling thing for them. We've talked about the struggles of attacking in this map with Thatcher and Hibana banned, so they're going to have to be very efficient. And against a pretty informed FNATIC at the moment, they were looking pretty good on most of those attacks. Definitely an uphill battle. Have to see what FNATIC pull out here. Tex with the castle for this top floor defense. So again, maybe looking to try and delay or assist a strong cocktail hold. We'll just see where he places those barricades.
An important part, obviously, for FNATIC is to get off on this top floor bomb site in the right fashion. Sinister in the previous matchup on Clubhouse won both first rounds on defense and attack. So I'm not going to say that I'm feeling more keen for them, but definitely feels like there could be a trend in which they stick to.
Looking like FNATIC want to utilize those castle barricades to actually assist a piano hold, which is quite interesting. It's a little bit difficult to stick a hard roam in piano. A bit more open space, a bit easier for the attackers to gather around, but could be very effective because, again, it's very important to take piano nice and early while you're trying to attack the cocktail bar. They are going to open those castle barricades nice and quick, Sinister. So again, they're showing some pretty good time management on their attacks so far.
Management was actually fairly decent on Clubhouse as well. If we cast our minds back literally half an hour, they were able to take it to FNATIC rather early and actually set themselves up for a bit more of a breezy late round. Fisher guy at the moment looking to open that cigar area, but they do have a lot of players there, FNATIC. They've got a lot of bodies that are ready to double down on this. Virtue looks for the kill on toward Red Stairs, straight out of hatch, but won't be rewarded in this occasion.
No, and Tex was taken low in a slight engagement there, but nothing too lethal. Just still the Valkyrie playing over in the corner near White Stairs doorway. They really need to flush that out so that they can actually take this piano. They've been on these windows for ages. I wonder that FNATIC haven't tried to do a run out. Virtue could have freely gone down to the bakery and ran out the double door. Sinister playing with fire a little bit, but they have finally pushed back that Valkyrie. Delayed a lot of time here. Mentalist is now rotated into this private bathroom, which means that he can peek around and really deny this Thermite opening these walls.
That's just going to be such a nuisance. You can already feel it. Tex as well, getting a lot of information out toward that balcony cigar. Rather, cigar balcony. Jeez, it's working well today. Fisher guy, here comes the opening. Will he be able to get this? Yep, looks like there's no real contest on it so far. That'll open up a very long line in toward Freezer.
Very important line is that because people won't be able to rotate through Freezer, but what? Tex gets a double from the Freezer hallway. Sinister caught a bit sleeping there once that Thermite charge opened that hole, and all of a sudden they're playing very far from behind now in this final 30 seconds. Virtue still on a flank. Beautiful peek though from Vinny on the IQ. They got another 4 to find if they want a chance of winning this round. A nice pre-fire to Freezer, but Lusty gets another from that position. All up to Luna, but Mentalist closes it out. FNATIC finds the next round now, and they break away 4 to 3.
Geez, that was horrific for Sinister. Thinking that the Thermite was going to assist them in that scenario, opening up Freezer, and it did anything but. It just completely allowed Tex to take down 2 members, and geez, did FNATIC capitalize off the back of that. It kind of had Sinister scrambling for the most part.
Yeah, really did, and that was meant to be a good turning point for Sinister, but they didn't really think about the fact that the angle works both ways.
Yep.
Tex just pre-firing as soon as it went open, managed to get 2. Potentially they lined up. Either way, that was very fatal for Sinister's chances in that round, and they will have to give this round a go as FNATIC are going to try reading Fireplace, moving their way down the map. And Magnet bringing the Mozzie this time, so again, just trying to slow down, deny some of that intel.
Need to locate and defuse bombs.
No, I didn't even necessarily need to deny it and slow it down in the last round when you've got Tex doing that. But definitely that will play a major factor here for FNATIC. The longer they can deny the information to Sinister, the longer they can hold them off, the better. Because I really don't think that we've seen Sinister in a position where they've had to worry about the time, if I'm being completely honest, on their attacking side. It feels like they've had the leisure to kind of maneuver around the map and manipulate the different rotates for FNATIC. On Clubhouse anyway. So far we don't have too much to go on for this obviously, but enough to maybe start to depict something.
Lusty getting a nice outside cam there for a bit of intel, maybe looking for a run out, whether it's him or a teammate. No one really walking around on that side, so not seeing a whole lot at this stage. Sinister all coming in from that west side. Rappelling up to the top floor, looking to probably do a top-down clear again because they need that vertical control in order to efficiently clear out reading. That's where they wish to plant. Even likewise for dining. Again, they're on the roof pretty quick here. Hatches are open, droning out. This is a good part for Sinister, but where they're really lacking is a bit of oomph on the entry. If they get some entry picks here, it's going to be looking quite good for them.
Very much agree on that oomph. There we go. Magnet shutting down Nico. Definitely someone we would look to for an opening as well. Not going to be any impact at all on that buck. And FNATIC, I just want to say they've got free leisure here. They have the ability to manipulate everything that Sinister do. Sinister try to get aggressive. Tex is there. He nearly doubles up. He might even, in fact, popping that juicy old watermelon of Vinny's.
Yeah, and Sinister, I like the attempt at aggression there, but two players, or one player running through the freezer on ADS towards Cocktail. You have to expect that they're there, and oh my lord, that was a flawless round. Ogre and a flash, FNATIC dominantly ending that. Sinister are now 2 rounds behind here.
God, Virtue's so sharp.
Yeah, not common you really see the defender win that from below, but it is Virtue, and that is FNATIC up 2 rounds at 5-3 here. That round really just heavily stopped. Sinister tried to do something a little bit different, but it just really didn't work out.
No, not the slightest. Down to the first floor we go to Kitchen, and it looks like FNATIC are very comfortable on this defensive side. Generally what we would probably expect, I would say, Raven.
Yeah, definitely, and it was always going to be the danger for Sinister after they started losing a couple of their defense rounds. It's just how much of a deficit can they create just to put a bit of score pressure on FNATIC. And I think FNATIC coming in 3-3 would have been pretty happy with that, to be honest. And they're looking very, very confident on these defenses. These setups are quite strong, and Sinister just seem to be struggling on what to do with it. They took a lot of time to deal with the Cocktail hold. They tried to put an aggressive attack on that last round, which was also repelled by FNATIC. So to wait and see what they try and do with this Kitchen hold. But so far, it looks like it might be a bit of a spread roam here. Virtue reinforcing his hatch means that maybe there's going to be a player rotating freely around through train and dining. We'll see how it works out.
10 seconds to go. 5 seconds left before insertion.
Now, it is coming down to the do or die time. Sinister backs are up against ye olde wall, and FNATIC, when they start moving, they are very hard to stop, especially when it comes to the ANZ region. When they're in that comfort zone, when they're in the zone, don't know if there's many teams that can stop them or even slow them down at that stage. And it feels like this second half have brought a dominant FNATIC with them.
Yeah, again, Sinister, I think, really need to find these opening picks. They're getting such confident ground on entry, but they seem to always lose their opening engagements, and it's really what ends up totally ending their rounds. Tech's been spotted there, pre-fired the Skylight, but doesn't find any hits. Moving aggressively around wide and just backing down there, so that it is leaving top floor free for Sinister to take. And you know what? If this is a top-down clear for Kitchen, they've already taken a minute just to clear this top floor, which is the least important of all the floors. So far, a really good delay from FNATIC. That scan's going to help a lot, knowing that the Vigil is actually, in fact, on the second floor. But they're going to have to replicate that clear again for these players on the second floor before they even think about touching the first floor. So, yeah, again, great strat from FNATIC, and it's being executed really well here. Just shoot and drop Tex.
Minute 30, and they really haven't got that much more. And to make matters worse, Tex is going to absolutely dismantle Sinister. Mentalist is just adding salt to the wounds at this point. Vinny goes down, Fisho Guy, and Nico in a 2-on-5.
Yeah, which is whittled away very quick, all up to Fisho in a 1 versus 3 now as he finds Virtue. But big task ahead of him. He does have some time. He does have a minute, and he does have the diffuser. So he's got some options, but it's by no means going to be easy. He's got no support players to help him drone. He's just going to have to face check some of these hallways. He's very aware that players are still off-site, but he might get pinched pretty hard here. There's one at the top of those VIP stairs, and one hitting prone just around the corner. Waiting and waiting for him to push around. He almost walked into it, but not to be. Some pre-firing here. Manic is he's got 40 seconds left now.
That's it. And, well, he was being spotted from every which angle. Magnet comes in to clean on up. And, look, that is just something that I don't want to say I expect, but, God. We were talking about the caliber of players that FNATIC really bring, the firepower of their individuals, and it's showing full well. Every single player has had a round, and you know what I'm talking about by a round. They've had the round where they've been able to have a huge impact. I genuinely think, I'm trying to cast my mind back, Lusty might be the only player that hasn't had like a 3K kind of round.
Yeah, he hasn't really needed to, and I mean, like, that's kind of the beauty of how their roster works right now, is I think it's less reliant on the individuals to step up. It's the team stepping up, and it could be any one of them. And it's working out so well so far. They're on match point now. It's 6-3 against Sinister. Their defenses have just looked dominant, to say the least. Now they're back at Cocktail. Sinister gonna have to get 3 perfect rounds if they want to at least get a point here and get the draw. It's a tall order, and I'm not too sure they'll be able to do it, Manic.
No. But don't want to count them out, but I am counting them out well and truly. It is going to be a tough trot, to say the absolute least. And from here on out, it only gets harder. 1 round. That's all it takes.
10 seconds to insertion.
And, well, I just don't have hope in my heart. it just isn't there. But see what Lusty's got planned.
And defuse a bomb.
Again, looking for that early intel out on that northern side wall. Not going to be given anything either.
No, he's not. And again, Sinister is going to have to really take it to FNATIC, because they're just getting bullied every time they get close to objective, or even when they enter the building. Nico, I don't think, even made it into the building in that last round before Magnet fragged him out.
Spinning out. Gonna try and push up a red stairs, clear out that roam, clear out that flank. Doesn't look like they have the most information on that second floor player, so playing with a lot of hesitance, and that's going to be Virtue. I believe that was a run out, wasn't it?
Yeah, taking out Luna repelled on that south side. She was probably looking to go into or hang out at the piano window, but good intel from FNATIC there, and Virtue securing that entry kill again, or the opening kill. Sinister on the back foot as almost half the round is ticked away. Really struggling to make some progress into piano here. There's still so many of them on the roof. Saw Vinny on the red stairs at least, but Valkyrie still sitting pretty at the white stairs corner. Virtue finds another one though. He's tagged to 1 HP basically, but that's a 2-man deficit coming into this final half of the round. Make it 3. Fisher gets the trade, but potentially too little too late here, Matty.
That is the only way to put this. Nico just watches as his comrade falls and tries to get something done. He'll at least get the 1 kill, but FNATIC close it out. That is going to be the 2 wins for them in this matchup. So they will finish up today with a total of 6 points.
Yes, then they'll be very happy with that after probably a slight disappointment last week, not getting the full 6 points either. So props to FNATIC coming out very strong today, stepping it up from last week. And they're going to be fighting for that top spot with a Nixian based on how a Nixian performs tomorrow.
Yeah, look at that. Virtue on 14 and 8 assists. That is a very, very strong performance from FNATIC. I feel like we kind of died off toward the end there. It just became very, very plateaued for Sinister. It looked like we were getting there, and then it just kind of hit, and then it hit a dip. And we didn't really see too much from them again.
Yeah, they started to really bring it back in that first half, and we thought maybe with some momentum into their attacks, it might not be too bad, but absolutely not. FNATIC just so dominant on their defenses, and Sinister just didn't really get to touch them, constantly nipping at their heels. And yeah, FNATIC just closed it out, just way too strong.
And I think that's the way to put it, isn't it? We're looking at this as an overarching picture, and at this point, Sinister had some good rounds. They had some good showings. However, it felt like they were never there. You know what I mean? They were never at the point where we could seriously say, "Hey, this could possibly happen." We were always still conscious and aware of the fact that FNATIC were in control, even when they were losing rounds.
Absolutely. I really think Sinister's best chance was Clubhouse. The score ended up 7-3, but there were 2, maybe 3 rounds that they had man advantages for. And unfortunately, it is not an uncommon story for Sinister, even on Clubhouse, actually, for them to be losing those kind of advantages. So they're going to be kicking themselves again coming out of that. Potentially, that was the map they might have been able to snag some points. But yeah, Kafe, I dare say they didn't really look too in it in the end.
No, and this is something that we spoke to Tex, who was Copper, obviously, literally like 6 months ago.
Yep.
We spoke to him about what was going on with the with a certain. I can't remember what the actual occasion was, but there was a matchup where they were winning in both maps, and they slowly but surely, like, the other team just chipped their way back in. And we were asking, you know, like, where are the problems for Sinister right now? And it was always with the closing out of rounds. It was always with the advantages that they were getting. They just couldn't capitalize on them, and they weren't doing enough to ensure that the round went their way. And it looks like it's still a similar trend. I don't know whether this is going to be an ongoing kind of occurrence or whether this is slowly going to shift into something different, but it is worrying nonetheless.
Yeah, for sure. You always think that with teams when there's the continuous trend of patterns. Like Wildcard is no stranger to that. We talked about their attack speeds, and Silex acknowledged it. And it's like I said, that's always kind of been a bit of an issue for them that they've struggled to fix. And I think this is pretty similar to Sinister's issues, that closing out of rounds or closing out of maps. Difficult stuff is difficult. So
Yeah, it is. While we're on the topic of Sinister, we have Serum on the line. Hey, mate, how you doing?
Awesome, thank you.
Good. Would you like to introduce yourself very quickly to the viewers at home?
So I'm Serum. I'm just a coach for Team Cryptic. Yeah, not too much, but
Yeah. So how's everything been going? What are your thoughts with the way that you guys played tonight?
yeah. So the same problems really have carried over from like last few weeks of how we've been playing. I think like you guys were talking about before, the late rounds were the nail in the coffin. Really, I think they were slightly better overall from last week, but that combined with FNATIC really made a big showing, and they really put us out quite hard. So kudos to them, really.
yeah, I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on how the veto went. Were those maps the maps you were hoping or expecting to play, or were there any surprises?
Yeah, I think we've got a lot of experience playing against FNATIC. We had a pretty good idea of how they would play and what would be up against on most of the maps. So we kind of went in with quite a wide pool, but no, yeah, we were pretty happy with how we went in the end, and it's kind of like the problems we're having is pretty universal at the moment. So I think the map to map didn't make a huge difference. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you've had some pretty tough opponents. You had a Nixian last week. You've had FNATIC this week. How do you fancy yourself moving forward for the rest of the season? Do you think that these issues are something you can get on top of, or do you feel like this is definitely something that you might struggle with for a lot of the season?
Yeah, I think we really need to track down a catalyst to boost up the speed, because it definitely is improving, but the rate it's going, it's not where we need it to be. So we really need to put our heads down, work, and I think we can get that extra step to hopefully finally put some points on the board. But it's coming close, but just not there yet.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Beautiful. Well, that will kind of conclude what we're asking here. Would you like to say any final thoughts? You know, anything that you want to say to the fans?
Just a big thanks to Priest, Sinister, and all the fans that are watching. Really support it, and hope we give a bit of showing next week. But yeah, thank you again.
Beautiful. Thank you very much for coming on, Serum, and best of luck
Awesome.
next week.
Great, awesome. Thank you very much.
So, seems like it's pretty much flat across the board. That seems to be a general consensus, is the nail in the coffin at the end of the round. Just they cannot seem to close out the rounds.
Yeah, I mean, like, the best thing is at least they are very aware of that.
Yep.
Sometimes teams are not really aware of some of their weaknesses, so it's always good. That's a positive, right? Is that you know what's going wrong.
Yep.
Now you got to try and fix it. It's like I said, like, difficult stuff is difficult.
Yes.
This issue might not be difficult for other teams, but everything's relative.
Yep.
So obviously it's a bit difficult for them to fix, but yeah, he seemed pretty confident they could bounce back.
Yep.
Definitely sounded a little bit disappointed. I think they definitely backed themselves to be able to do a lot better.
Yep.
I think especially with Clubhouse as well. Yeah.
Yeah, when we cast our minds back to Clubhouse, that was really the map where if there was going to be an opportunity, it felt like there was about a midway point where we started to actually turn our belief a little bit, and they were looking good. They were starting to close the rounds out, and then bang, it's just like this constant little. I don't know how to put it. It's like it is a nail that just keeps going straight through the foot right when they're at the final step, the final hurdle of that round. Look, I don't know if that's going to be a problem moving into the future. I don't know, man. it feels harsh to kind of put everything that they do on that one issue.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big issue, though. You can see that it's costing a lot of rounds. But, yeah, totally. Again, though, I still think they've showed a lot of promise. Like, they played really well against Onyxian. I don't want to take that away from them. And FNATIC is a different beast. They still played... They had some really great moments, especially on club.
Yeah.
So I think as long as they don't focus too much on that negative and they try and take some positives, yeah, they've still got a pretty bright season ahead. And I think they can definitely compete with a lot of teams. So they shouldn't put their heads down because, like I said to Serum just then, they've had two really tough opponents, like FNATIC and Onyxian, top 3 teams. So.
Yeah. Well, talking about a tough season, let's flip it around. Good start to the season FNATIC are having. We've got Magnet on the line.
Good evening, my dudes.
How are you, my friend? I'd ask you to introduce yourself, but I feel like at this point, everyone knows who you are. So how are you feeling after that matchup? 7-3, 7-3. It looked like it was pretty good.
Definitely feeling like ourselves. We felt really good. We were having a lot of fun, especially. So yeah, pretty happy with our performance tonight.
Yep.
Yeah, do you think that there were any surprises that Sinister brought out? Maybe on Clubhouse, that seemed like the map that maybe you guys were a little more challenged on. Was there anything that you guys were thrown off by?
Nothing we were thrown off by on Clubhouse. We've seen that SSG, roam defense on bottom floor heaps of times. It was just personal mistakes and communication that cost us the rounds that we lost. Otherwise, yeah, no surprises at all.
Okay. And you guys have SI coming up. This is a question I actually asked Wildcard, so I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on whether that's been maybe a distraction for the PL season. You guys did get a draw last week, or whether maybe that's actually been extra motivation.
The draw last week was only because of how we played. No one was listening, calling out. It's just all personal problems again. But we're going to be running our defaults, having fun with Pro League, but in the background, secretly coming up with a new identity of how we play Siege, and really got to strive for a potential final spot at SI. So the focus definitely is SI, but we still want to make sure we keep up with Pro League.
Yeah, so I think one of the final questions I want to ask you just before we send you off is how are you feeling with the new with the new lineup, more or less, as it's 40% of the roster that you've swapped in and out. How are you feeling now that you've kind of had a little bit, more or less like 3 weeks of officials now?
I knew there wasn't going to be a problem for, say, Pat, Mentalist, because he's played a lot of comp games in Atlanta, especially. But honestly, I wasn't worried about it at all. The guys, Mentalist and Tex, are settling in really, really well. And I'm just really happy with the whole team right now. Definitely our strongest roster yet, and I can't wait to move forward with them.
Well, that is great to hear, mate. Thank you very much for joining us, and good luck next week.
Thank you.
Well, that is really